So I was down in Florida for my father's birthday, his
Mhm.
81st birthday
How
in
many?
January.
81st?
81st. Shout out
Wow.
to my dad. 81.
Congrats. Yay. Happy birthday.
Um, and I went down there with a couple of cousins. Now these guys are older than me. They're in there. They're 65 and up to 70, I believe.
Okay.
So we go to IHOP in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and we're getting a breakfast, and I tease them about, oh, you guys about to, can I get in on your senior discounts? Ha ha ha. Little did I know that they have a 55 plus menu.
You qualify.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't real.
So
And
then the
sure
cousins
enough,
are laughing at you.
they're laughing at me like, welcome to the club. And I'm like, you gotta be joking me. But
But didn't
sure
that make
enough,
you excited that you could get a deal?
no. I mean, when
That
the
got to get
check
excited.
came, yes,
Like,
yes.
you can't change your age.
No, you can't. But it wasn't even like I had to show ID. It was just like, look, because what I wanted was on the 55 plus menu. So, so I just asked for that, and I said, I said, hey, it's on the 55 plus menu. Can I have this? I don't even remember what it was. Probably omelet or
And
something.
did they ask for proof? They didn't ask for
No,
proof?
no, they
Ooh,
just said, yeah, you
interesting.
got it, bud. You got it. And sure enough, my
I guess if
check
you're gonna
said,
order it, you're
yeah,
probably 55.
yeah. I mean, yeah. And then sure enough, my check said 55 plus order for me. So I felt some type of way about that, but that quickly subsided. I mean, I am what I am, 55, so can't run for that forever. So here we are.
Exactly. And it
And
sounds
it
like
was a
you're on track.
delicious
Oh, I
breakfast.
wanted to ask you about I know you're not doing dry January, but you just stopped drinking cold turkey, right? How's that going?
Still going. It's been a challenge, but it is getting easier. I'm getting used
Good. It's a
to it.
challenge because of social pressure or
Social,
because
purely,
okay.
purely social, and
So
it's not
not so
even like
much that you're craving it or missing it.
there's a small aspect of that too, but yeah, it's just a social challenge, and it's just like you you have to almost become a different person. I know that
Right,
sounds terrible,
right. Well, because
but
if the history of your relationship with your friends is always going
sure,
out and drinking,
sure,
it's a adjustment, I guess,
this is
for a
an
lot of people.
adjustment. Yeah, and it's like it's challenging because it makes me, at least for me, it makes me realize that when you have drinks, it's easier to be social. It's easier for me to be funny and engaging and that sort of thing.
Right, right. And
Particularly when people are
more
doing it.
relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you're the only one that's not doing it, it's like, oh, you have to figure out different social charms and different ways to kind of entertain folks and that sort of thing, and just
And it
be
can be kind
regularly
of
normal.
annoying, right? If everybody else is drinking and like
100%.
getting
So yeah,
crazy and
yeah.
you're
So
surrounded by drunk people.
yeah. So I had to do that with the Super Bowl this year, which was interesting because everybody else is having libations and toasting and everything else, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm
But
good.
it didn't you're sticking with it for
I'm gonna
health
stick with
reasons?
it. Because I feel a lot better. I feel like I lost a little bit of weight. I feel like my body is thanking me every day
Well, that's good.
for abstaining. So it's not gonna be a forever thing. It's gonna, I figure, it's winter, it's cold. You're not really out in the sun where it's much more fun to have a nice cold cocktail or something like that. So
Right.
I
So
figure
you're
I'm gonna,
okay with it right
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I figured I'm gonna wait until the weather gets a little bit better
Well,
for
that's
sure.
good. At
Yeah,
least you
yeah,
have a little bit of a break. Give your body a break.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And then at
Well, good.
55, you need those breaks. I'm not a
Congrats.
young man, but I'm not an old man either.
Right.
At least I like to
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
so.
No, that's good.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, that
yeah.
sounds great. Well, you mentioned the
Mhm.
Super Bowl. What
Yep.
did you end up doing for that?
I went to a buddy's house. It was a small gathering. I would say probably 10 people, maybe.
Mm,
if you call that small.
that's not bad.
Lots of good food, lots of the host, and I think
Like
a
the
couple of her
traditional kind
friends.
of Super Bowl food and
Yeah, it was wings and that sort of thing. But yeah, there was some Puerto Rican flair to it.
oh, nice.
So yeah, some dishes there, but mostly traditional. But it
Who
was
were
really
you
good.
rooting for?
I didn't really have a rooting interest for either team. Shout out to my buddy Sean White, who I know listens. Him and his wife Margarita hosted the Super Bowl party. So shout out to you
Yay.
guys. Good party. Thank you for inviting me and having me out. Um, but no, I wasn't. I didn't have a rooting interest for either of the teams. I didn't really. I would. Well, let me take that back. I didn't want the Eagles to win. Not necessarily meaning I wanted Kansas City
Right, but
to
you
win. I just
didn't
didn't
want
want
them
the
to
Eagles to win.
dominate like they did either,
Correct. And
probably.
boy, did they dominate for sure.
So it ended up being not that exciting of a game. I
Ah,
was
it
rooting for
was.
Kansas City, so I was
You are
very
okay.
disappointed.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that, man. That was just an ass kicking, thorough ass kicking. How was your Super Bowl experience?
It was good. I was gonna say we usually watch at home, but we went up to Dave and Buster's because
Okay.
the kids they had a bunch of deals there, and one of them was like the kids could play unlimited games for like I don't know, like 20, $30. So I was like,
Right.
sign me up. That's great. Because my kids they don't want to sit through a whole game, and so
Right.
they could run off and do their thing, and the food was good. So we got wings, and so it was fun. I mean, it was a great venue for it. It's just that the
Mm-hmm.
game itself was disappointing, since I was rooting for the
Very
Chiefs.
disappointing.
So,
Yeah.
but it was fun. It was fun. I thought it was kind of cool at the beginning when they had each team had a different star or actor announcing the team as they came out, and
Mm-hmm.
so it was John Hamm was for the
Okay.
Chiefs, and then Bradley Cooper
Right.
for the Eagles. And it was kind of interesting because it was kind of like, what we talked about with the Olympics. How can somebody who's in midlife still be involved in a
Mm-hmm.
sport, right? And so I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was interesting that they picked those people, even though I think on social media people were, giving or ridiculing John Hamm because his voice cracked.
Oh,
He did
really?
look a little bit like not like the madman John Hamm that I remember.
Oh,
So
really?
I hadn't seen him in a while. So people were kind of making fun of him on social media, as people do.
Oh, wow.
I didn't really notice the voice cracking, but I thought that was interesting. And then the halftime show I thought was great. Did you like it? A lot of
Yeah.
buzz, I think,
A
afterwards,
lot of
right?
buzz. Apparently, the most watched Super Bowl halftime show ever. All right. Let me go back for a second. It's a lot to process here. Um, John Hamm. We'll talk about this later, but I thought he looked good on the SNL 50th anniversary.
Okay, yeah.
He did a sketch on that. I missed that whole part about him and Bradley Cooper. I must have been getting food
It
or
was
something
pretty
like
quick.
that.
It was pretty quick, but I
Pretty
think it
quick,
was kind of interesting. I don't know if they do that every year, have some
right?
celebrity
Yeah,
announce it, but I thought that was good.
I did see our president was there. He's the first
Mhm.
sitting president to attend a Super Bowl, which I thought was fascinating. Um, Kendrick Lamar. Where do I even begin with that?
I didn't know
Interesting.
he's been around for as long as he has. I
Oh
guess he
yeah, yeah,
started
yeah,
making music in high school, so
yeah,
he's, like, late 37 or something like that, or
yeah.
maybe started when
Mm-hmm.
he was 16, so he's been
Yeah.
in the biz for a long time.
Yes. Yeah, he has. He has. And it was a good show. Um,
I love
I thought
the
that
red, white, and blue,
yeah, the
honestly.
visuals were top notch. The choreography was good. Somebody made fun of me because I talked about it was a live event, a live
Mhm,
show. But the way the camera, particularly when they were in that like maze or grid thing, whatever they were in,
mhm.
it almost seemed like it was like a video. It didn't seem like a live show to
Right,
me. I was like,
right.
how are they tracking that? That was just, I mean, obviously it's been rehearsed and all that other good stuff, but I thought the camera work was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was very
Uh,
intentional what they were shooting,
Very
like, when they
intentional.
had Serena Williams out there. What did you
Yes,
think of,
yes.
Uncle Sam, Samuel L. Jackson? Did you like that
That was
part?
shocking. That was shocking, and I'm still trying to formulate what I actually saw.
Mm-hmm.
Still trying to compute what the meaning of the show was, because I don't know if you did this, but looking on the internet and social media, everyone has their own interpretation
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
what happened, and we're not gonna, at least I'm not gonna get into all that. I mean, it was very political, obviously, and
Right. It was
there's
political, and then it was anti-Drake. I think there was two different
anti Drake,
themes going on.
anti, I think anti government,
Yeah.
current government.
We're
So
taking
we
back the
don't need,
country a little bit, I
yeah,
think. Like
yeah,
I had a big issue with kind of feeling like the American flag was no longer for every American. So I thought it did a good job of that, just saying,
right.
hey, it's not just for
Well, that's a great
MAGA, or
point.
it's
Yeah, that's a great point. Um, I thought it was a good show. I thought maybe he could have worked in a couple of hits from prior albums, not just
Yeah, it did
GNX.
feel a little bit short.
Yeah, there was some slaps that I wanted to hear that he didn't do. That I think would have. But he was trying to tell a story, so
Yeah,
the songs he chose were for that story. So I don't really fault him for that. He could have just done, his best of, and that would have been fine for me. But I don't think that would have uh, gotten the story over that he wanted to portray.
hmm
So I'll give him credit for that. I I'm kind of wishing, like, and hopefully this
my
deadens
internet is down.
the beef. I don't think it will. It actually made me feel a little bit sorry for Drake, to be honest with you. Um,
Yeah,
um, but I mean, Drake should never have gone after Kendrick. I don't know what he was thinking.
right.
I,
Or his wife. I think that's what I
yeah,
was
well,
reading. It's
they
like what?
both
Don't
kind of,
never go after the family.
yeah, they both did that.
But
I'm
they
not
both
saying
did.
Drake
Yeah,
did it.
yeah.
Yeah, they
Right.
both did that, but obviously Kendrick put the hammer down on that. And I think Drake definitely underestimated Kendrick and his influence, and that whole, like, West Coast, California kind of rallying behind Kendrick and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's just like, it made me feel bad for Drake, but then I realized how silly it is to feel bad for a multimillionaire. He's gonna be okay. But it just comes like, all right, hopefully this is it. Just put a stamp on it. Boom,
Right. Just to
it's
move on.
over,
Yeah.
and let's just move on. So
Yeah.
it was a good show. It was a good show. I kind of wish, though, and I love Kendrick, and I love when uh uh Dr. Dre, and that whole halftime show,
The
and even
other,
the
yeah.
weekend. I kind of wish they go back to when they used to merge genres together.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I kind of like those kind of halftime shows too.
Like, give
So,
me an example. Like, you're saying, like, you're bringing hip
uh,
hop with pop, or
yeah, they'll have, like,
country, like
like,
they throw in the
yeah,
country.
like a maroon, yeah, kind of like that kind of deal, like what they did for when Beyonce did the uh, AFC Championship game. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like,
mhm.
she brought out, like, Post Malone and somebody else. I like when the kind of, like, different genres kind of
Oh, that's nice.
mix
Yeah.
together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it kind of gives, like, it brings out the best of different
Right.
audiences.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm
I mean,
saying?
I think
A little
Kendrick
something
Lamar
for
did a good
everybody to
I
enjoy.
think he did a good job of being alone and still, I don't know, doing something different. Like, I didn't feel the same
Right.
way. Like, with like The Weekend, I didn't love that one, and I didn't love the
You
Rihanna
didn't
one
know?
either.
Oh,
I just thought,
really?
no, I just thought it was more like Rihanna's great, but I feel like it was like, I'm just gonna perform this. There's no real big message. And same with The Weeknd. It was
Oh, so
entertainment, right?
you like the messages.
I do like the
Interesting.
messages, especially at this time,
Wow.
this day
Yeah,
and
that's
age.
interesting. I think
Like, when you have the
I'm the
platform,
opposite. Yeah. I think I'm the opposite of you. I think I don't really want a message. I just want to be entertained, because
mm,
you can get that kind of stuff, at least for me, anywhere. Social media, the internet, your friends, whatever, coworkers, whatever. So, yeah, I
no, but
think we're a
he's
little
a,
different on that, and that's
I think if
cool.
you're an artist, if I think of musicians as artists, right? And so,
Right.
um, it's not every entertainer, right? Or not every musician that's gonna
Right.
have
Right.
a political message, but, if that's what they are known for, then
Mm-hmm.
and I think Kendrick Lamar definitely is, if you think about his
Well,
music. So I think it would be odd if he was just out there entertaining only.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right on that. But I do think here's my hot take, Max. I think we're gonna go. I think they're gonna do, at least for the foreseeable future. I think they're gonna do non-messaging, non-political acts in the Super Bowl for a little
You
while.
think they're gonna shut it
I can
down
see.
like Colin
I can
Kaepernick?
see. Yeah, I can see. I can see them like having a 2 or 3 year run where we're just like, all right, let's just
Pick
entertain the
somebody
masses
safe.
and move on. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
but this
sure.
wasn't like in your face. I mean, I guess this Uncle Sam stuff was in your face, but it
Oh yeah, yeah,
wasn't.
yeah, 100%.
I think it was still very artistic, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
You
very,
know,
very artistic, very artistic. Uh, yeah, I think we're gonna be, we're gonna move on from that a little bit, for a little while.
interesting. Yeah, let's see
Yeah,
next
yeah,
year. And any
yeah.
commercials that stood out to you?
No. Well, one, but only because it was just super sad. That one with the little bald headed kid. I think it was a cancer commercial or something like
Uh-huh.
that. That was kind of a
Yeah, it was
not
emotional.
necessarily a tearjerker. It was very, it was emotional. But no, really, like there was kind of some still silly ones with like Seal as a seal. I don't know if
Oh
you saw
yeah.
that one.
I hadn't seen that. My sister told me about it and I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know if you
that
needed
was
to
kind
do
of
that.
odd.
Kind of
And there was
creepy.
this. Well, I don't even know what it was for, but it was these people that were wearing like cowboy hats, but the hats were kind of like their skin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't like that one.
but yeah, nah,
I
just
like the
not.
Michelob Ultra one with the pickleball, Willem Dafoe and
Oh yeah, and uh,
Catherine.
Catherine, what is her name? I don't know. She's from the Home Alone series and Schitt's Creek.
Yes,
Uh, yeah,
Catherine
Catherine
O'Hara.
O'Hara. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. No, that was cool. I did like that one. I did like that one. I did like that one. They're out there playing pickleball, beating people much younger than them. That was pretty cool.
yeah.
But yeah, Super Bowl. The commercials didn't really grab me. No, not really. I kind of nerded myself out at the Super Bowl too because for some reason I've become the Marvel expert
Mhm.
with my friend group. And I was like, "Oh yeah!" From what I'm hearing, we're supposed to be
MCU.
getting some new trailers for Thunderbolts and Captain America, and there might be a new Superman commercial coming out too. And there was a Thunderbolts commercial,
Is this you when
but
you're sober?
yeah, this is
Is this
me.
when
Yeah,
that's nerdy?
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I guess the nerd value goes way up when I'm not drinking. But yeah, I was whatever I heard was wrong, and those trailers or previews didn't come out, and people were looking at me like, "I thought you said we were gonna get a new,"
And they didn't really
it
care.
didn't happen. But yeah,
But
but
speaking of
it's like, go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of, do you wanna talk about you saw Captain America, right?
I did. I did.
I haven't seen
Shout
it
out to
yet.
Anthony Mackie, who I
Yeah.
believe is
Love Anthony Mackie.
46 years old.
And he doesn't look a day over what, like 30 something, right? He looks young.
He looks good. He looks good. Pause. But he he's the new Captain America now, which is okay for me. It just seems kind of weird that, and they kind of explained it in the movie too. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but he doesn't have any superpowers. He didn't take the super soldier serum, which is not easy to say,
Okay.
by the way.
Oh, interesting. You
Yeah, he didn't.
spoiled it.
He sorry,
But and
but
he doesn't have the what was his old thing? The hawk or whatever. What was
he
he
still has
before?
the wings. He
The
still has the
wings, okay.
wings, but he combines that with Captain America's shield, and
Oh.
so he's able to take or do these superhuman things because the Wakandans made a suit for him out of vibranium,
Oh, so is
which
it
is
kind
really
of like Iron Man, where it's the suit?
yeah. So he has he has a superhero suit, kind of like Iron Man. I guess that is a great point,
Hmm.
but it's not like the suit. It's not like Iron Man where it covers his entirety, his whole person. He doesn't wear like a mask or a shield over his face or anything like that. He just has the wings, and I guess the suit really is superpower too. He but his whole thing about not taking the super soldier serum is well, there was part of the movie where people were saying we know you're not Captain America, but that makes you great because you're something that we can aspire to be like. We
Oh,
can't
that's
really
a
be
good
like
message.
Captain America because he's all juiced up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
So
you're
did they make a
yeah.
point, like in the movie, was he supposed to be midlife or no?
No, not really. There's
Mm.
no like. Well, he does. Make. I mean, he might make a joke about it, like I'm getting too old for this, or I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm not as young as I used to be. It's just for me. It's just like I wanted to highlight him because he is 46 years old, and it just
Mhm.
seems to me a lot of the and does a great job, but a lot of the actors that are portraying these roles are midlifers now, or coming up on
Right.
midlifers,
Right.
and I could kind of tell where they're going with this, and because there has to be some sort of changing of the guard, so to
For
speak,
sure. Yep.
where these people need to be getting younger. So that's really a interesting aspect of these movies, how they're going to turn that over to younger characters. Uh,
Do you
but
think
no,
there's
I
going to
just
be a
wanted.
sequel to this? And is he going to stay in that role, do you think?
He'll stay in it for another two or three more movies.
Mm,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, for sure. But like Mark Ruffalo, even Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, Ryan
Oh, yeah.
Reynolds,
Mark Ruffalo's
they're
got to be up
all
there.
pushing 50, or maybe
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo, I think, is our age. Oh,
yeah.
57.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's just an interesting dynamic that these guys are playing these dynamic superheroes with all these physical abilities, but they're midlifers. So
Yeah, it would be interesting to
yeah, yeah,
ask younger people what they think of, the casting. Like if they like him as an actor, it'd be interesting, right? Because for us, it's
right,
like, oh, cool,
right.
we've got
Are they aging
Deadpool, we've
out?
got Wolverine, and they're older and they're
Yeah,
our age, it's kind of cool.
right.
But if you're a younger person, um, maybe you want to see somebody younger. I don't know.
Yeah, that is are these people aging themselves out of their roles? Yeah, that's
Right,
that's
right.
that's 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 fascinating
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad he's a leading man because he's a good actor. So
He is a good actor. I think he's one of the better actors in the whole Marvel cinematic universe.
yeah,
And it's a decent movie. If you haven't seen it, it's worth going out to watch. But I would really not have super high expectations of it.
so maybe you
Um,
can wait to stream it.
yeah, it's not like it's not going to change your life type of movie or change you're not going to go away thinking, you know, this is so great, this is so awesome. It's a decent movie. It kind of leads on to the next movie. You're waiting for, at least for a Marvel fan, you're waiting for that next. It's almost like a placeholder. You're waiting for that next like Infinity War, Endgame type of deal. You know what I mean? And
Right,
maybe that's the
right,
problem with Marvel is because of those two movies, these other movies kind of pale in comparison to them, and
right.
everything else just kind of feels like stepping stones for that next big event.
Yeah. Well, it's
That makes
also what you're
sense.
saying about like you like all these ensemble casts, right? Maybe you kind of like it when there's more than one superhero in one movie, kind of like you were saying about the Super Bowl halftime show. It's more
Yeah, yeah.
exciting to have
Wow, look at you,
multiple people,
Max. Yeah, look at
you
you. I
know.
love that tie-in.
Yeah,
That's
you like that connection.
I did. That was awesome for
But
sure.
what's interesting about so you're saying, okay, so this was Anthony Mackie's first role as Captain America, right? And he's
No, no,
46.
no. No,
I mean,
not
I
his
know he
first
was in
role.
that one where he gets handed over the shield, right? Or was there another one where he was Captain America already?
So this was his first movie as Captain America. But
Mm.
there was a series with the time that you're talking about when he gets handed over the shield in
Mhm.
Endgame. There was a series on Disney where
Oh,
he was Captain America, and it was kind of that
okay.
series about him taking over that mantle and everything he had to go through,
Okay, so obviously I
and
missed that.
yeah,
But what I wanted to say is that, I guess 46 is not too old to be a superhero and being the leading guy. But what about,
that's correct.
going back to football? There's a lot in the news about Aaron Rodgers. Should he retire? Should he not? And as somebody who's an athlete, hitting 40, I mean, he's what, 41? Is that too old? I mean, if you're Tom Brady, maybe you can stick around for a couple more years. But what are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers and
Well,
what the future
I've never
holds
been an
for
Aaron.
him?
I've never been an Aaron Rodgers fan. Full disclosure, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. He played for the Green Bay Packers, so
It's a big
never really
rival.
like, yeah, big rival. But I always recognize his talent and skill. He's probably from a purely throwing aspect of the position of playing quarterback. He's probably the best that's ever done
Hmm.
it. Yeah, I guess that could be, it's debatable, but I think if anybody that did not have in the top five of him being one of the most talented quarterbacks with his arm, I would think that your top five was trash.
But have you
But
seen the decline, over this last season, and then that's why they're letting him go,
uh, I
or you think
mean,
there are other
obviously,
issues?
not so much with his arm. No, the arm talent, the arm strength is still there. I think his downfall or decline is really not necessarily his play on the field. It's just how he goes about his business.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is a very arrogant and conceited person.
Mm-hmm.
I think he
Very
thinks he's
outspoken.
is very outspoken, super outspoken.
Yeah.
He doesn't stay in his own lane. I think he puts himself in situations that he doesn't really need to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really came across. I think the Packers got sick of it. That's why they were willing to move on. And
So
he
you're
went
saying he's
over.
not a team player?
I would, if you asked him, of course, he would say yes, he is. But
Yeah.
I think no, in my opinion, he's not a team player. Um, I think that's what's currently happening with the Jets. I think that's why they're considering moving on. But a question was asked to me, would I want him to play for my team? And I
Mm-hmm.
would be like, absolutely yes, which is very short sighted. I get that. But with a bit of an attitude adjustment, I think he can still help a team get to a Super Bowl. If
Okay,
he
so you're saying
just,
purely for
yeah,
skill and purely for just
yes,
for a couple more years or something like that.
100%. I hope, hopefully, this year has humbled him and he is willing to kind of let go and just be the best that he can be and not try to run an organization and not try to uh put himself in positions where he's uh conflicting with others. And they fired their head coach, they fired the offensive coordinator that he kind of handpicked. He had his hands in too many pots there.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think he just needs to concern himself with his business, not so much what everybody else is doing. And just let, the people that were hired to run the team and hired to coach the team do their jobs and he not interfere. Now, if he can do that, I think he can still be a viable quarterback to get you to a Super Bowl for
Yeah,
sure.
and it seems like I don't think he's done yet. I mean, I'm not a big football person. I follow all the celebrity news more so,
Right.
his girlfriends, the anti-vax, whatever. That's what
Right.
attracts me. That's what, I
Right.
start focusing and paying attention to, but I feel like he's probably not done playing yet.
I think he's got such a chip on his shoulder and
Yeah,
such
exactly.
arrogance to him, which you need for sports. I'm not
Yeah,
saying you shouldn't have
he
arrogance for
still wants to
sports.
prove himself, right?
100%. So I think he'll be back next year, probably on a different team. And if if Minnesota wants to give him a trial run for a year, kind of like what they did for Brett Favre, it would be interesting because I can see this happening again because Brett Favre played for the Packers, went to the Jets, and then came to Minnesota. So that would be super, super odd and
Do you
super
think a
weird,
lot of
but I'd
other
embrace it.
Vikings fans would support it?
I would, because we're a frustrated fan base.
Okay.
We just want to get to the Super Bowl.
Right. So as a fan and as a male, you don't really care about that other stuff, right? Like as long as he plays well and brings the team together and gets the win.
We get the win, baby. Just win, baby. That's it. Well, I don't care about that other stuff anymore. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Midlife Marauders. Follow us on social media and wherever you stream your podcasts.
We also want to give a big shout out to Frank Moyne at Moyne Music for providing the beats for our theme music. And to our listeners, keep on marauding and see you next time.